This is game number 1 of the DC Rainbow Draft Weekend Rainbow Draft. I rolled higher on the D20, so I will be going first. I have 4 energy of varying types, so I can pick up just about anything I'd like that is 4 energy or less, including my basic actions, and it looks like I'm going to spend 4. I have an interesting choice. Looking at my opponent's team, there's some aggressive bits, so I take a gamble and pick up a Superhero Registration Act on turn 1. My opponent rolls up his dice, gets 2 masks, a fist, and a shield. Looking at his team, he's got a lot of bolt characters. Let's look at it right now. Here's some bolt characters in Huntress and Deadshot. There's Felicity Smoke for 2, and there's Amanda Waller for 2. He's got Deathstroke, which is a crossover character needing a fist and a shield to purchase. Batgirl, the 4-cost Batgirl. He's got a rare Giganta and the 5-drop Gorilla Grodd, which is a great card. Even though it doesn't have an ability text, it's great to have that stat line for 5. It's very scary in a draft situation to face against that. And here's what scares me more. Looking across from me is Blink, Transmutation, and Cloud Kill. So my opponent brought both Blink, Transmutation, and Cloud Kill. The global helps me a little bit if he's being very aggressive. It could also help him if I'm trying to press in on him. So we will see how those play out. But I have to keep my eye on his purchases and see if he's going for those early or something like that. Just stay aware of that. So he picks up a Batgirl first off the bat. And I roll up, start up my turn. So that gives me 3 energy and a blocker if I think he's going to purchase another character next turn. But I'm going to take a gamble, roll it up, and see if I can pick up a second Superhero Registration Act. I could also pay for any of my characters that are 4 or below because I have the question mark, acting as a bolt or that fist if I wanted to pick up a Wonder Girl. Looks like I am going to pick up a second Superhero Registration Act. Going turn 1 and turn 2 SRA is not bad at all because both go into the bag and can chain together on turn 3 if you're lucky. He rolls up his second 4. He's got another mask heavy roll. Well, I guess it's only a 1 mask and a question mark. Could be anything he wants. He's picking up a Felicity Smoke for 2 and a, what's the other one for 2? Oh, he picked up a Blink Transmutation. So interesting. If he fields a character and then lands the Blink Transmutation, then I have the decision to make on whether or not to block, if I even have blockers. And I did roll a sidekick, so here is the sidekick. I also rolled a Superhero Registration Act, meaning I will get to draw 3 since he cannot KO a character to drop that number to 2. First, before I do anything, I want to decide if I want a sidekick. Looks like I do. Going to activate that, draw, and roll 3 dice. So this is that moment where I'm really hoping for a Superhero Registration Act, but it doesn't come out. Just 3 sidekicks. See what come up. 3 more energy, making a total of 5. Now I have an interesting choice. Do I want to spend 5, or I actually have the opportunity to take that sidekick and spin it down onto a fist? Looks like I am going to do that. I'm using the Gorilla Grodd Global that turns a sidekick character in the field zone into a fist to gain 6 energy and pick him up. So I now have a rare Gorilla Grodd that is going to move through the bag, hopefully fairly quickly, and he is unblockable unless you have a crossover character to block him. And my opponent does have 1 crossover character, but he'll have to pay 6 for it, and that will be pretty tough. Especially a 6-cost crossover character can be a little tricky. My opponent rolls his Blink Transmutation without a character, so that's not what he wants. And then it comes right back up, so he's left with 3 energy. The dangers of purchasing a finisher early: if you roll it on its burst side and not on a energy side, it does you no good. So he picks up a Cloud Kill. But he does not have any, well, I guess he has characters, but he doesn't have any fielded. Certainly doesn't have any characters fielded that can threaten me with either of those actions. I just need to continue to keep something out there blocking. Something that can stand up to just a punch, really. He's only got 2 characters currently in the bag. I reroll a Superhero Registration Act, use it, draw 3 again. It's a great early game ramp builder without PXG. In games where you don't have PXG, I get to draw and roll 3 again. So this is an opportunity for Gorilla Grodd to come out. There he is, and does not land, sadly. Comes up with just a fist. But that gives me a ton of energy. In fact, I could even just buy another Gorilla Grodd, which would not be a terrible idea here, because that would leave me with 2 characters cycling through my bag constantly that are unblockable. But it looks like I'm going to do something a little different. I'm paying 4 to pick up a Power Ring, which also has a great stat line. It's got some good strong abilities, and my opponent has not purchased a villain character, so it will get buffs from whatever's in the field. I also pick up a Deadshot, which has the ability to reduce villain or Suicide Squad affiliated characters by 1 to purchase, which is very great. My opponent pulls his Batgirl. Let's see if he rolls it. He does. He does indeed. So all of that's going to go into reserve. Is he going to want to reroll any of that energy? Probably not, because he's going to have to pay to field, not leaving him much to do. Actually, he doesn't have to pay to field because he rolled it on the 1 cost phase, or the 0 cost phase, I should say. And he picks up a Huntress with the extra energy. Passes over to me. Does not want to attack. Has some free damage open, but chooses not to take it. So I pick up and roll. Might want to keep this sidekick in this case. Looks like I am going to do that. Pay 3 for a static, which is an easy buy. It's a great die, great card, great ability. Looking forward to getting that onto the field and having it basically immediately a 4-3 once my opponent's turn begins. And he rolls and re-rolls. Alright, so he draws, there's his Blink Transmutation that he purchased earlier. And does indeed roll it. Let's see if he keeps it or if he tries to re-roll that. In this case, it would kind of do some good. Looks like he is going to keep it. He's going to pay 4 for a Superhero Registration Act himself. Looks like he is going to use it, but not attack. An interesting choice, because he either swings in unblocked and that cycles back into his bag, or I block with a sidekick, take an extra, or I guess take 1 damage, and he keeps his character in the field. In that instance, I would most certainly want to allow his character to hit me, cycling it back into the bag, refilling his bag. In a draft situation, that's a much better play. Alright, shaking up everything. I got a Deadshot there, but it's on its double bolt face. Gonna re-roll it, see if I can get it onto something better. It comes out on, what is that face? I can't tell, but it's definitely a character face. Sadly, it's a when fielded ability, so I'm going to pay to field both of those, but I don't have any energy to reduce the cost of any of my villains by. And I do have a good amount of villains. I've got more Power Rings. I've got Weather Wizard, Deadshot that I could reduce. I can also reduce that Huntress, because that's the one Huntress that actually has the villain affiliation. I think the others have, what, the Arrow affiliation? Some other affiliation. He chooses to block. I attacked with my Deadshot so that I could cycle its wind-fielded effect. So that's going to move to prep, and then I'll roll it again and hopefully land it with more energy this time. I have a good chance of rolling Superhero Registration Act, so in doing so I'd have more energy to purchase reduced characters by. It's basically a big entrance that my opponent can't purchase. So he's keeping the Huntress and the question mark. Rerolling the Batgirl doesn't come up. Comes up with a sidekick, though, and 3 total energy. 4 if you count that question mark. See how he wants to play this out. Obviously, he's going to want to field the Huntress, so he's paying a shield to do so. Fielding a sidekick, most likely, as well. Looks like he does that. And then what does he dump the 3 on? I brought a global for the Fist. I guess I brought 2 Fist globals. One of them is Anger Issues, the other is on Gorilla Grodd's card. So he picks up another Cloud Kill. He's bought 2 Cloud Kills already. Doesn't have a very big board to use that Cloud Kill on. And I draw Gorilla Grodd, and I think I drew a Superhero Registration Act again. Neither of those land. The Deadshot lands, though, so maybe I keep all of that and reduce a bunch of characters' cost. That's a possibility. But seeing that I could possibly have 4, 5, or 4, 6, or 7, it doesn't come up anyway. I could have had that unblocked, dealt some damage there. But I do have a Deadshot. Did come up with SRA, offer my opponent the opportunity to KO his sidekick to make me draw and roll only 2, which he does. Gonna refill my bag first. Here's another SRA. Be great to put my opponent in a tough position, choosing 3 or 2 again, but I don't get to. That's too bad. I do come up with a Wealth of Energy. I think it's not a bad idea to pick up another finisher to buy another Gorilla Grodd. I can reduce that one as well since that's a villain. Looks like I'm going to pay 5. Pick up another Gorilla Grodd. I think that's a strong play. This is a really powerful card, especially in draft when, I guess really it's probably even more powerful in Unlimited if you can get to it. The meta being fast, it is what it is, but if you can get to it in Unlimited, then it's basically just text says unblockable, because no one's bringing crossover characters to Unlimited. I attacked there with Deadshot. He got KO'd by Huntress, meaning I'm going to be able to cycle that ability yet again. Huntress rerolls. That's good for him. Not terribly great for me, but not the worst. Let's see, my opponent's going to definitely want to field that. Cloud Kill here would KO my sidekick. Make my Power Ring harder to use, but I would be able to block with it, as I do have a mask to pay the cost of Cloud Kill. So Huntress wouldn't necessarily get through. Really, that Cloud Kill doesn't do him any good. He re-rolled it, and it came back. It would really just KO me a sidekick, KO my sidekick, and allow me to re-roll that next turn. Looks like that's what he's doing. Let's see if he chooses to attack with his Huntress. If he does so, then I just pay that mask into my used pile and block with the Power Ring. He's got 4 energy. It's going to pay for a Deadshot. Not exactly sure what he's shooting for here. I guess he just wants to build up a lot of characters on the side, or on his side of the field, to swing in with. Hopefully, in his mind, is unblockable. If I don't save up the energy to block, static pops right out. It lands on its. I can't tell. Is that the 3/2 side? Thinking about re-rolling, I'm going to re-roll that Deadshot, look for more discount ability. Does not come up, so it gives me a double bolt instead, which is the best possible outcome if it's not a character. I was enjoying the ability to apply that pressure, just constant pressure attacking with Deadshot, but looks like that is going to end here. Paying 4 for a Weather Wizard, though. Choosing whether or not to attack with that Power Ring. It's probably not worth attacking just yet. I'd force a block if I did, but do I necessarily need that? And with everything going back into his bag, I can't exactly guess what he's going to pull. So it's probably better to just keep that as a blocker for the time being. He ends up pulling two Cloud Kills, both of the Cloud Kills that he's purchased in one turn. Not the best thing he could have pulled, and not probably the best thing he could have rolled. I think he rolled both as the Cloud Kill. One of them is the 2 generic, it looks like. I actually would have kept that sidekick the first time. More blockers in the field is good. It's also more fodder for SRA. If I keep playing SRA, he has something to KO to reduce my ability to draw and roll 3. He rolls and re-rolls, which triggers, both times triggers Static's spin up ability. So he spins up to his top face because he did it twice. So he is now a 4/3. A 4/3 for 3, that is basically always a 4/3, is pretty awesome. He fields his sidekick. Doesn't have much to do with that energy as he only has 3. He's going to throw Cloud Kill out there. It's going to ping both of those characters on my side, but I do have 2 energy, so I can pay 1 energy for each, making both of my characters able to block again if he so chooses to attack. He's just going to pay 3 for a 3rd cloud kill. At this point, it's more worth it for him to pick up characters than it is to pick up finishers like cloud kill or blink transmutation. All of those are basically just serving to clog up his bag, and if he keeps rolling them as action faces, then it's not going to do him any good. Here's a Gorilla Grodd. Let's see if it comes up. He just does not want to come up. 2 energy's not bad. Yeah, stays 2 energy. Too bad. We'll use Superhero Registration Act. He KOs character. Means I draw and roll 2. So there's Weather Wizard. He does come up. And it looks like the other character, Deadshot, comes on his 1 bolt side. So that's pretty poor. I use that 1 bolt to pay the fielding cost of Weather Wizard. He's going to deal 2 damage to that Huntress, KOing that Huntress. So here I have the opportunity, if I wanted to push in for some direct damage. Doesn't look like I really want to, though. Have 4 energy. What am I going to pay for that 4 energy for? Paying 4 energy. Looks like I am going to pick up a Firestorm. So there's another opportunity to field and use a finisher, as that can basically just KO anything that I want, making me able to swing in for whatever damage that I have on board. KO's 1 character die, obviously. I put all that target damage towards 1 character die. My opponent's got some dice to roll this turn. He's got some, 6? Looks like 6 dice. That Huntress just keeps on coming up, but didn't look like his Deadshot did. So he's going to pay 1 to field, using a question mark. Leaves him 5 energy, just enough to pick up a Giganta. That's a buy I would have made much earlier. I would have done my best to, I guess, purchase it earlier. Let the stuff in my KO use that to, my prep area, use that to purchase that die much earlier. It just acts as a bigger body in the field. Another Gorilla Grodd opportunity. Missed it the first time. Let's see if he shows up finally the second time. He does show up finally the second time, meaning I will be able to swing in for, looks like it's just 4 damage. SRA triggers. My opponent doesn't want to KO his character, so I draw and roll 3 immediately. Pop those into the reserve. So I have 1 fielding cost, pay that to field him, and then I'm going to, obviously I'm going to attack with that Gorilla Grodd. I want that to cycle back in an easy hit for 4. I also have a fist in my reserve pool, not my used pile. I have a fist in my reserve pool that I could use to trigger the, Anger Issues Global. There I just paid 1 to pick up a Wonder Girl because I have an active Teen Titans character. I can only do that once per turn, but that was my once. So I hit him for 6. It looks like it was 6 damage, not 4. Hit him for 6, which is very nice. Again, he can't block it no matter what he wants or what he does. Does not have a crossover character. That goes straight to my used. My opponent's turn begins because my attack just ended. So he's going to draw 4. See what he ends up doing here. Rolling up 4. He's got the 2 generic side. He's got a Batgirl that landed. So he has 2 characters in the field now. Still winning on the board. I am, at least. I am still winning. He pays to field, I assume. Paying the shield. Leaving him with 3 energy. Drops 2 generic, picking up another blink transmutation. He's gone a little too heavy, in my opinion, on the actions for his purchases. He's got a lot of actions, not enough characters to use them with, and he's choosing not to field sidekicks anytime he has the opportunity. Ah, man, now that Gorilla Grodd's rolling, that'll work. Paying to field, obviously. But, as I was saying, he's not using his sidekicks to his advantage by fielding them as much as possible, lowering his bag count, and giving him something to attack with. There I'm going to field Gorilla Grodd. 2 energy, paying 1, picking up a Wonder Girl. I can trigger that once more. Well, I just bought the last Wonder Girl, so I can do that once a turn for 2 turns, seeing as I only brought 2. He uses the distraction portion of the attacking, or of the Blink Transmutation Global, saying that an attacking character die gets put back into its field zone by paying a mask. So he avoids some direct damage there. Finally, is rolling his own Superhero Registration Act. I'm assuming he's going to want to re-roll that a second time. Looks like he does, and it only comes up to 2 generic, giving him 6 total energy. Again, this is one of those moments where, yeah, exactly. He picks up a finisher, an actual character finisher this time. If he can land a Giganta, then this game starts to shift a little bit because I can't straight attack into that character. I can still hit him for direct damage with the Gorilla Grodd, but I can't attack with anything else pretty much. Rolling up a Wonder Girl. I think she shows up. Deadshot did not. Let's see if he shows up this time. Paying 1 mask, or in this case paying 1 bolt. Keeping a mask just in case. Paid a bolt to put out Wonder Girl, and then I attack again with Gorilla Grodd. That time it goes through because he has no mask to use the global. So he takes an additional 4, dropping him to 10. Got him at half health. I've played this game cautiously, and I've also bought just about every character on my team, which is never really that good.
That makes 3 out of the 4 White Lanterns, though.
I feel like on my end of the purchase order, I have an idea of what I'd like to do, but I don't have the consistency or the optimization down yet of where my team really shines. I'm starting to find though that and he lands a Giganta. There you go. I'm starting to find that this game is easily won by the direct damage, which is true of really any Rainbow Draft tournament that you're playing in. Direct damage, if it's a character card, if it's an action card that you bring, direct damage is usually one of those hard to beat methods of winning. If you bring it, obviously, if you're bringing something like Power Bolt or Magic Missile, then your opponent just has to buy those up. But if it's a character card that you have or that you drafted that you can get your hands on, that's a hard thing to beat in a Rainbow Draft situation. Not a lot of healing in the game. Of course, this set brings some healing to the table. Nevertheless, it's one of those situations where if you're the one that has the direct damage, then you have a good shot at taking the game. My opponent attacks with 2 of his 3 characters, keeping Giganta in the field. I wonder if he wants me to block or if he doesn't, but I have 20 health. I could definitely take the damage. Not a terrible option to take. I think it ends up being, what, 6 damage? It's hard to see the stat lines on those dice. It would end up taking 6 damage, dropping me something like 16, 15 if it's more. But to basically just make his board nothing, and I do end up taking 6, dropping me to 14. I don't know where my math was there. Dropping me to 14, but lowering his character count within his field zone, meaning that that exactly right there is the problem with attacking on his side of things. Because if I roll up that Firestorm or I land that Gorilla Grodd, I've this game sealed. I do end up landing the Firestorm, so I can KO that character. Well, I can deal it 4. Not sure if its stat line matches that. Using Superhero Registration Act to roll up some more characters. There I have a Superhero Registration Act again. He's choosing, obviously, not to KO his Giganta. So, refilling everything. Drawing 2 more. One of those was a sidekick. I didn't even roll that other one. Should have rolled that. I missed it. Fielding all the characters there, along with Firestorm. So at this point I count up my board. I have 6 on my side, so it doesn't really matter. I just field that out there. It's going to KO his Giganta. And I should just be able to push for lethal at this point. Counting up, I have at least 1. Yeah, and I should just be able to push right in. That Firestorm should deal 6 to there, KOing that, and then he's going to take the rest. I also have a ton of fists in my reserve pool that I can just pay to over buff one of those characters using Anger Issues Global. End up dealing something like 24 damage in one turn. And that's the game. So I was able to control that game basically from the get-go by buying up those 2 SRAs and just playing that aggressive style of gameplay, swinging with the dead shot early on and often. And my opponent just didn't have the economy to keep up there. He didn't have sort of a way of maintaining his own ramp. And so I was able to just buy. So next game, my goal is to kind of slim down my buy order, maybe buy a fewer of the extraneous characters on my team and really push for an optimized, efficient build.